Hello and welcome to my video. Okay, so yeah, for this lesson, what I've done, I'm going to use big brushes to do the sky and the landscape, but I also I went out and bought some brushes just for the mill, because there's no way a 2 or 3 inch brush is going to handle the sort of the impression of detail that I'm going to try and get onto that. So here we go. So you can see what I haven't had to do. Like there's no masterful drawing in there. There's lots of lines where I've changed my mind and stuff like that. That in the middle there, that's intended to be a roof of a building. I'll probably put it in, don't know. And then I'll just sort of make up all this other stuff across there as I go along. And let's just get back so you can see what's going on. So first of all, it's sky. So what should we use first? Let's use a biggish brush, and I just want to make it look slightly stormy. So the colors I'm using on this for the sky will be white, Payne's grey, royal blue, and just sort of see what happens. What I was saying about the brush, by the way, the brushes I bought, you might find this, well, it's pretty obvious really, but it's a whole range of different sized square-ended brushes. I'll show you at the end, it'll make more sense. But obviously the reason I want something like this is that if I'm doing a structure, say this roof here, this just happens to be just about the right size to actually produce that roof in about 3 or 4 brush strokes. And here, you know, produce nice, good straight edges. So that's well worth the investment. But the skies are a piece of cake. So Payne's grey and royal blue. So as you can see, that line there, and that line there, that represents the blades or sails. I think they were sails. I can never remember. So as you can see, if I'm going to paint the sky, there's no way I could, you know, because of the way I paint particularly, there's no way I can go up to the edge of the blade and just leave the blade there, or vein, or whatever they're called. I'd rather put it on later. So that's just going to be a nice darkish shadow going across there. As soon as I've worked around the edges and I've got the sky reasonably blended out, I don't mind a bit of paint going onto the actual mill because I can sort of crisp it up later. But it's all quite logical, really. Right, so this is a slightly different sort of sky in that it's going to have a light bit and then a dark bit, a bit like the painting I sent you, except it's got a little bit of red in the dark cloud, and I'll add that with probably just red ochre. It feels like the right sort of color. A bit there. It'll be a very light horizon, so that'll be fun. Because I'm so out of practice with buildings, I was actually painting this in my mind as I went to sleep last night. And then I woke up in the night because there was a lot of very loud rain outside. And then I carried on painting, carried on painting it. And constructing it, but it is all very logical. You know, basically, if you have anything that looks like detail, do what is behind the detail first. So the horizon down here, that's going to have a bit of light. So I'll just shove a load of white paint down there. Not cleaning the brush, just let it let it ride, so to speak. So any bushes that were there, which I did in pencil, that's irrelevant. So they can go because I'll be painting into them. So that's where the horizon is. Let's check that's reasonably level. Good. Then there's the building. Very Dutch looking barn shape. Well, Dutch barn, I suppose. Okay, along the top. So red ochre. In fact, if you look at the print, the picture that I sent, if you look at the top left-hand corner, if you've got the file open, it looks like red ochre, or what was the equivalent of red ochre back in those days. What would they call it? Probably red oxide or something. So that's that color. So you see, brown actually works quite well in a sky. Okay, so that turns into a bluish grey again as it moves across. So we'll just add a little bit more in there, but don't finish it. You know, keep it just thrown on literally like that. Finishing time is always later on. Much more exciting if you do it this way, and it keeps the colours clean too. See, so you can see there's a sort of dividing line there, but it's very because the value of the colours is very similar. It gives the feeling that it's quite a soft line. It isn't. It's good. I mean, it's good enough for an oil sketch, but that's why I do the blurry thing later, because it just sort of makes it more comfortable. And again, you know, keep looking, if you are painting, keep looking at what the Dutch guy did, and look how untidy it is. You should be able to open it. I don't know what you're using to open it on your screens, but if you're using Windows, you've probably got something that's just called Photos. You can view anything like that, and if you can zoom in easily. So I've got it, you know, filling the screen at the moment, so I can sort of refer to it. Yeah, you'll notice how unbelievably untidy it is. Okay. In the middle part of the sky, this sort of area, this dark bit, he's got he's added red, but it's not red ochre there. I think it's just a red. So I'll use my Japanese red. And for the entire painting, I've probably put too much paint on the palette. That bit of red there by my thumb, that's enough for about 3 paintings. I just over squirted it a bit there. So if I just put a little bit on the edge of the brush and touch it onto that there, you see how it goes basically on forever. You know, it's quite difficult to get rid of it. If you can't get rid of it, it looks like too much paint. Don't worry. Just add a bit of Payne's grey to it, and it will turn it into something else. That's better. That's what I wanted from the beginning, just a sort of dark sky like that, and try and keep it alive going across the painting. But as you come to the building, right, what you don't want to do is avoid the building. It's like a hill, you know, it has to go behind. Now, when I blur it, it will pull a bit of paint on the mill. Doesn't matter. It's all okay. Because then you could tidy it up with a palette knife if you wanted. Okay, right. So this is all done with the same brush at the moment, even the lighter bits. So I think I'm sort of reasonably comfortable with that. There's going to be a light patch at the top right-hand side there. There'll probably be, yeah, I think there might be a little bit more dark just there. Okay. So if you're doing a painting like this, you're painting a building, there is going to come, you're going to come to a point where you will feel, if you've drawn something, you'll feel, well, why did I bother drawing it? Because it's starting to vanish, and it just loses any sort of slightly magical presence it might have had in the amount of paint that you've had to put on there. But don't fret. My biggest problem is finding the other. Oh, there we are. Smaller brush. Okay, so this is a 3 centimeter brush now. It's that big next to the painting. Give you an idea. And a minute amount of medium. Oh, the medium I'm using, when I said I'm not using linseed oil, it's just called painting medium. And it's a bit smelly. It's got a bit of turpentine in it, but it's genuine terps. It's not, sorry about that. It's not white spirit, it's actual real turpentine. And they don't put too much in, which is what I like. You can barely smell it. Now, this is the stage now where it makes you wonder whether you should have taken up a different career. This is the, I always think of this zone in a painting as the bit that either makes or breaks painters. You know, you can spend hours and hours drawing everything in meticulous detail, but you know, there comes a point when it's just going to disappear. Now, because this paint is quite transparent, I can put a little bit of white there. I can still see what's going on through it. I can still see the pencil marks. I might just bang in a quick tone as soon as possible to give you an idea where the actual mill is and how the structure works. Right, let's get some light up here. And take note of the fact I just literally slap it on. That's the thing that makes clouds. Like that. It just sort of happens. Now, I think I've set the camera so I can just move it without having to unlock things. It's better. So I'll do the same sort of thing across here, there, because I think there's going to be a nice bit of cloudery there. Okay, right, so just going to tone it all down a bit. And then once I've done that, I'll zoom the camera right in to the windmill so you can see what's going on. And hopefully, the good thing about zooming in is that it's almost impossible for me to get in the way. Now here, I just want to draw your attention to something. As I'm smoothing the paint, so I noticed that there's some nice patterns coming up in there, sort of accidental patterns. And I don't want to lose them. They're actually quite nice. So I'm going to just sort of work on them a bit because it's actually a good part of the painting to have a bit of interesting cloud. Now, to sort of keep the interest, all I'm doing, I'm just sort of putting a bit of paint on the tip of the brush. Literally just, so there's the palette up to now, which, funnily enough, looking at it like that, a budding landscape already in there. Anyway, right, so just literally stab the white like so. And then double check you're getting that. Yeah, good. And then literally just sort of just touch it in a few places. Keep your hand moving as you do it. As soon as you lose the absolute white, once the white, well, stops being absolutely white, then you need to just get a bit more paint, just a few touches. And then when I blend that, it'll be interesting. See, and it's totally random. It's got lots of bits in it. The more little bits that you get in your sky, the more it looks like a big sky. So if I just pull that back a bit. So what I'm trying to say is if you just have one giant cloud that's just got a smooth edge to it, and then another giant dark cloud, just a smooth edge to it, it'll look too close. It'll be literally in your face. As soon as you start to break things down and make lots and little facets, let's get all these little fiddly bits done near the windmill so that I can not worry about what I have to paint in between the gaps, so to speak. Let's just have another bit there. So literally, don't worry if the brush is very jiggly, not jiggly, irregular, like so. Okay, no, it's not a clean cut across there, and you want to use those little bumps. Don't be afraid if they're showing up on the painting as little bunches of lines, because they'll go when you blur it. Okay, so what looks like brush marks will look like cloud marks in a moment. So just having a quick think about how I'm going to do this, because what the idea I think the artist had is that the windmill is a bit like a person. It's got a face, and the face is looking back across the painting, and I think that's deliberate. So as you look along the painting, you come here. In the original, he had a little tiny windmill just behind it, further along, but it's basically pushing you back across the picture. And I'm not sure, but yeah, I think he was pushing you back to get you to look at the little guy who's sitting down here fishing next to a couple of trees and a few birds flying around. So it's sort of bouncing you back across the picture. That's my theory on it anyway. Compositionally, that probably would work. So up here, let's just try and help the viewer to come back. I might even paint someone fishing. I don't know yet. Let's see how it goes. So let's just have a little bit of a shape there, shape here. Again, if you look at the original, he's got this terrible little white cloud sitting up there, made of 3 bumps. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put a little bit of extra white just there. Doesn't matter, you see, as long as that's vaguely horizontal. Well, actually, no, let me say that again. Because it's Holland, it's going to be like that. They just don't do hills in Holland. I couldn't believe I went there. Well, actually, not into Holland. I was right on the border in Belgium. In fact, it's years ago. Maybe I did actually drift across into Holland. I don't know. When there was much more free travel. And the thing that I did notice in that area is it's just you can only see a certain distance because it's so flat. Never seen so many bicycles in my life too. But yeah, the flatness is important. And as soon as you put a windmill in a painting, people are going to say, oh, that's got to be Holland. So we've got the horizon down here, then this structure, and then down there, I suppose I'm going to bring that down a bit more. Excuse me, seems wobbling. better. Okay, doesn't have to come down to exactly the same level as here, because there's going to be grass growing somewhere around here. There may even be a pond, a little river or something. Okay, so I'm leaning these clouds here back into the picture a bit. Okay, don't want anyone going off and wandering around outside the painting. So we'll just pull them across that way a bit. Don't have to do it too much, just a little, just a hint. Okay. A little bit more of a blend. So these clouds that I put up here, okay, I'm going to zoom in on that bit. So you can see all those brush marks there. So I'm going to attempt to turn them into cloud marks. So there's hardly any paint on this as usual. And the brush marks now start to disappear. And they turn into clouds. Reasonably comfortable. Just want a little bit of a highlight just there. Sure you can see everything. Okay. Sure you can see over there too. So I can drag this across what will be the windmill, like so, and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't pick the paint up here and deposit it on the windmill. Okay, it's just basically having no effect. However, it's going to make life unbelievably easy when I come to doing the fiddly bits down here, which I'm going to do in about 5 minutes. Okay, so I think that's starting to look like a sky that I feel comfortable with. Because what goes through my mind when I'm doing things like this is just get that down a bit. Oops. If the windmill goes wrong, I've got a good sky anyway. But I think it will be okay. What should we do up here? Let's just sort of hit it a few times. Because I don't want to fiddle. Well, I can fiddle with the sky over this side, no problem. And I'll be able to fiddle with it up there, absolutely, again, no problem. But once I've established the sky in this area, I'll be safe for windmillizing it. I think that's reasonably comfortable. So anything I don't like about it? Right, so that's coming down there. I think that should have a little bit more light there, a little bit there. Okay. The actual mill, I mean, when you look at it, it looks as though it's made out of something like burnt sienna or burnt umber, which I don't think I actually have. I just never used them. All my life, I've never used those. So I'm going to make it up with red ochre and Payne's grey and maybe a bit of green thrown into it. That might, yeah, that'll probably have the desired effect. I think I've come to the conclusion that with most of these windmill is that there doesn't seem to have been until later in Dutch history. Originally, this looks like a very old style mill. The design was whatever bits of wood you had lying around to some extent. As long as they could get the thing grinding up corn, I don't think they cared too much about what it looked like. So, right, so these fancy brushes, long time since I've used a brush this size. Let's try it. Which one shall I ruin first? How about, that's a good size. Okay, so this is, I don't know whether it will mean anything, but it's a size 14. It's that big next to the thing. I'm just going to zoom in a bit more to get that. Right, so it's a very simple shape. I must remember to talk more clearly too, because I notice when I'm editing sometimes that I mumble, and we can't have that. Okay, so this is, as I said, this is sap green, red ochre, Payne's grey, basically a dark colour. So when I'm doing things like this, there's several ways to hold your hand steady. One is to sit down. I should have planned that before, but it doesn't matter. The other thing is you can use a thing called a marl stick, which I don't have in the room because I haven't used one for so long, but a marl stick is basically, oh, I could use this. Right, so here's a totally ruined paintbrush. You can just use a stick, and I'll just zoom back quickly. And you can lean that on the edge of the picture like so, and then use that to steady your hand, okay? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it my way, I usually do. And that's just to use my my little finger, which will touch the board all the time, and then just to steady me so that I can put the paint on. Now, on the original painting, there's a little bit that sticks up. Not quite sure what it would be. There's like it looked like an aerial, but of course they didn't have an aerial then. There was nothing to aerialize. So I have no idea what it is, unless it's who knows? It's just a thing. But anyway, if I put it on, it won't be until I've completely finished. I wonder if it was like a wind sock, you know, to give the guy an idea where the wind was coming from and where it was going. Unbelievably difficult to do this from the side. Wonder how I can get around that. I thought of having the camera looking over my shoulder, but wonder if that would work. Take a bit of preparation though. Right, I'm leaving a light line at the edge of the roof. So this is all basically solid here. Once you get the tone on, shape, it looks like a loaf of bread at the moment, but once you get that on, you can start to sort of get some structure working in it. So it's on a structure which basically is like a pyramid shape. Bottom edge of it is not important. This applies to lots of things in paintings. Just move that down so I show what I'm talking about. Yeah, the bottom edge, whatever happens down there is irrelevant because whatever I paint below it, grass, etc., will cut into it. So you only need to be semi-precise. So let's just put a shape there. And then I'm not going to worry about any of these weird marks that I'm putting in because they will all come together eventually. And with something like this, you have to use a reasonable amount of whatever medium you're using to keep the paint fluid. Otherwise, you won't have any, you won't be able to be precise. And certain things do need sharp edges. So, right, so in the original painting, there's a sort of lump thing hanging down there, and there's sort of something coming down here, which I think are steps. Could be, oh no, the steps the other side. Different mill. But I'm gonna make this into my own version of a mill. And on the other painting, the one that's got more color in it, it actually has like stair rails or something, I think. So I'm going to just sort of do a little indication for now of something. And then the back end, that can have something as well. That's a light. So most of the light is hitting this side. By the look of it. So just slightly lighter. Now you can put your finger on paint like that without marking it. Yeah. So always keep a long nail on your pinky finger. So this is just going to be literally a neutral tone. And of course it's got an arched bit there. Something there. Make sure you can see that. And then let's see if we can get, this is where you attempt to paint things that look as though they're functioning objects quickly with a bit of life in them. A little something sticking off there, a bit like the thing on the top corner. Something going up in the sky up here, whatever it is, I don't know. Let's just put one there. Yeah, you didn't quite see that. You'll see it in a minute. And then the roof. Let me see. Look at that. Yeah, the roof's definitely got a slight lip. There. It's a little bit of a. It's hard to tell whether it's actually got windows. I don't think it has, but maybe. Let's just bring out a little bit of light there. So, I don't think it needs these light bits there, so I'm just going to fill them in just a bit more. And a bit of texture down here. And I imagine a bit of light there. So have something dangling off the back. Why not? Okay. Okay, so another small brush. Let's try right, this one. Right, so I want to make it look slightly sketchy and slightly patched up. I think I'm going to paint another windmill quite soon, but I think I'll probably paint one that is made of stone. Find it slightly more appealing. Let's put a window there. Or something. Okay, now top of the roof. Just a hint of a ridge. But it's definitely nice and ramshackled anyway. So I'm thinking of having a quick stab at the blades. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, this is one of those things you really want to get right first time. So I'll do my best. Wondering what I'm going to need to get in the way. If I think I can do it from the angle that I'm at, I will do it. But to get that line coming down, it's quite tricky. I wonder if what's the best way? Maybe I'll just go for it. It looks to me as though, if you look at it carefully, it's like literally the guy has just started there and gone to there. Now, if it was dead straight, I could straighten it a bit, I suppose. Don't have to follow that exact shape. So I could bring it straight down and then straight across and then add the bits that I think are missing. Although there's something quite nice about it being at a slightly jaunty angle. So let's go for I could take a vote actually. Jaunty angle or straight. I think we'll go for jaunty. then there's no reason why you couldn't use a ruler for this. I suppose I could, but I'm not going to. Now, let me just see if I can do something from the other side. Tell you what I can see. Now I stand the other side of the picture, because I've been standing over this side, you don't see that you've got things at a slight angle. Yeah, I think I should probably try a video literally with the lens on my shoulder. Make it a lot easier to get things reasonably straight. Well, that looks quite ramshackled, which is what I want anyway. Not quite as ramshackled as the original, but heading that way. Okay, now do a couple of tweaks with a piece of paper. Okay, right. So let's have a go at the bladey thing. So let me just check that what you can see. Oh, yeah, I've zoomed back. Okay, so I don't like all this. I'm going to change that. I'm just going to block that in. And in fact, what I might do, because they literally were thrown together, these mills, I'm going to turn that to there, so there's a bit of light catching it. It'll balance better, I think. And it may be, I think I will do this as a two-parter. I can either do it as a two-parter, as a video that I'll just put on YouTube, or we can do it as a class next time. But you may be sick to death of windmills by then. So we'll see how it goes. But the landscape part will only take literally a minute. Just looking at the clock there, we're doing all right. So that's good. So yeah, I could do part 2 and tag it on as a YouTube video, or I can do it the next class. I think they when they built these things, they weren't built for looks necessarily. They do have a certain character, I have to say. Particularly the later ones, I think, when they were more developed. But I think they were literally just, it was a tool, a means to an end. And they didn't necessarily go on looks. It didn't have to be a pretty mill, if you see what I mean. So I'm going to just fiddle around with the edge here. In fact, I might even put a tree behind that. I don't know yet, but let's just sort of smudge that. So why not? Yeah, quite logical, really. You want a straight line, so find something that makes a straight line. Now you may also notice, and this is not just this painting, but sometimes they used multiple branches with little twigs, literally. How far up shall I go? Probably to there. They would use literally a bunch of twigs, so there'd be, let's say there's a couple like that. Gives it a bit more character too. And the other one sticking out at that, well, it's obviously going to be 90-degree angle to that. So, and it's going to be attached out of our view. So it's actually attached, if you imagine a point going from there, here, through the building. So it's going to be attached about there. So this one is going to be approximately there. But longer, obviously. And because I'm working the other way, I'm going to turn it, rather than make life increasingly difficult, I'm going to just sort of turn it around. This, I mean. Like so. And then I'm going to remove a little bit of paint. This is where I could wait until it's dry, but I don't know. Let's try and do it. So this mill had some, by the looks of it, some red material. I was thinking of taking some paint out so I could put some of this browny color in. Now, the thing is, I'm just thinking, would we have actually seen that? I don't know that we would see that, you know, the other side. Not going to worry too much about it anyway. Now, this palette knife comes with several edges, which you can use like that. I use this long edge here, but that little edge there can also be used. And that will produce the little, whatever they're called. The difference is quite interesting. This, I find it interesting, but if I was copying an old master and I knew I had a year to do it, this would have been flat. I wouldn't be working upright. It would be flat, and I'd be, I've done it lying on planks, hovering over whatever it is I was painting. In fact, I did it on one painting for so long. I got housemaid's knee, which apparently you get just by being on your knees too much. You get swollen knees. And I went to the local village doctor and I said, "Why are my knees fat?" And it looked at me as if I was some kind of nitwit. Said, "You've been kneeling too much. You've got housemaid's knee." So I stood up for a while. Right, now I think I would probably have to leave those to dry and then put a light red, almost like a wash, over the top, just to give the feeling of fabric there. And if you look at the painting really close, if you can zoom in on it, you'll see how messy and irregular it is. Like some of these little spar things actually poke out the other side, because it was literally just a twig off a tree. The mill there's a mill that is quite close to me. I think I showed you a photograph. In fact, there's quite a lot in this area, but let's just make them slightly more untidy. The main mill, which is quite interesting because it's called something Fief, F-I-E-F. I asked a French person, "What does Fief mean?" And they said, "Well, we don't know. It's just a word." Okay, so I'm gonna probably add to this the sort of thing that I've seen on mills. So I'm not going to follow the original too much. So let's get some landscape in. Landscape at last, an easy bit. Basically sap green, red ochre. Very limited palette. Okay, so let's see. This roof, I might do it, I might not. But anyway, get some ground. This is why when I say it doesn't matter about the bottom edge, because I would be adding the landscape. Let's have something there. And thing you probably noticed straight away is the grass color over there. I'm not just using a complete mix. I've got sap green and red ochre on the same brush, so that we get that nice sort of patchy effect. So, as I said before, there may be water. And water in a painting like this would be a sort of, because it's, you know, Holland, known for its rain, its flatness, and sort of marshland colours in it, but you can guarantee that it would probably be near water because they'd need that to transport stuff. So let's have a little think here. Let's first of all just sort of sling in the landscape. I'm not sure about this roof now. I think one building is enough for anyone. So just across here, I've got to keep in my head that there can't be any actual hills. It's got to be, I mean, it could be a slight hill, but mostly going to be just disappearing into the wild blue yonder. I wonder. In fact, I'm gonna put a tree there. Feel much more at home with trees. And there's that thing that I repeat every time. When you paint a tree, don't paint a tree. Paint the feeling that a tree gives you. So down here, right, water, I mentioned water. So let's have, this is the edge of the water here, slightly stronger green. And let's put a slightly stronger ridge there. And make it look wet. So if I want that to look wet, I would probably, well, first of all, wait until I've got the rest of the landscape down. But the water would probably be dark and brackish. One of the paintings that I sent to you has water in it, so I'll sort of base it roughly on that for the foreground. So this is all sort of reeds along here. Let the brush do the work. Yeah. Now that could be grass over there, I suppose. Sorry, I'm just going to get in front of it and look at it for a minute and see how wonky everything is. That's possibly the wonkiest picture I've ever painted, I think. But it will all come together. I'm going to use same brush, but sap green with no red ochre, and just put in a bit of pale, well, something that's more greeny here, so that when I hit it with the paper, it'll change color. It looks about the right sort of color anyway, but I just give it a wipe and just have a little bit of light there. Now, same with most things, the bottom edge of something like that is not as important as the top edge. Top edge is important because you can naturally paint that with using the top edge of the brush. You can't actually paint what you can't see down here. So what you do is you put down that flat color and then use another color to go over the bottom edge, like so. If you find yourself painting individual reeds, stop. Completely stop. Wipe it off. Start again. You don't need to do that. You can bring out the odd one delicately later, but for the most part, just let the brush do the work. So literally, just by another thing I used to tell everyone that came here: point the bristles at the ceiling. Okay. The tip of the brush, you'll still get the effect of using the tip of the brush, but what you want is the feeling of grass. So point it at the ceiling and you'll get it. Simple as that. So, and you could, if you're careful, you could just sort of hit the bottom a bit, and you've got your water already starting to appear because the reeds are poking up out of the water. So over there, let's just break that a bit. And again, use the brush the other way up. As long as it's, it's either that or that, not that. There is a time for using the tip of the brush, but this isn't it. So with something like this, the top of the reeds are important, but they're also important where they disappear into the water. So if you do this, I will add a color to this, but I'm just going to show you this as a quick way of painting water without actually painting water. Literally just break up the edges like so, and there you have grass sticking up out of very bright water. Right, let's do a little bit of structural work. Let's sharpen that edge. Just emphasize that little change of angle. What I'm after. So I'm going to do this thing where if you look at the picture that I sent you, the one with the water in it, you'll notice at the back end of the mill there's all these different structures poking out, and there's one that points up like the hand of a clock at about the 10 o'clock position, and that's got a rope hanging from it, and that's probably a hoist to get bags of corn up into the mill. So the effect that you get when you paint something like that with all these little intricate bits is it gives it this jobbiness thing. And jobbiness meaning it's got bits on it, it's got functional bits that you can't necessarily recognize, but you know that they must be right because they're there. So I'm going to stick one just here. I think it needs one there. The other thing about this mill that I'll tell you where to go and look for it to see pictures. It's got literally, it's a stone one. It's not like this. The top part moves, but not the whole sort of structure. Yeah, just the roof part actually moves on this other mill. But it is literally a tree branch that hangs off the roof. And this guy, and sometimes his daughter, who own it, sometimes you see them out there if you're driving by in the morning, if they're open. They're not open every day, but you can see them pulling the whole building around. And in fact, it's easy to do on your own. You don't need to be strong particularly. It's all very well balanced. Fascinating things. In fact, I have a cousin who lived in a mill for a while in the UK, which of course means that you have to get special furniture for it because it's all rounded off. I want to just add bumps and rusticness to it. Now, if you're going to do the tree branch that moves the mill, you've got to do it. You've got to do it in one go. You can't sort of mess about hitting this white paint with this color too much because it just goes to a neutral tone. So I'm not quite ready for that yet. What I want to do is just a little bit more foliage. It's the same approach. You know, when you paint a landscape and you want it to look real, you've got to have lots of messy bits. You know, it's got to be twiggy and messy and unruly. And I think the same thing goes for old windmills. Or in fact, an old house would have the same sort of, would work better if it has the same what's the word I'm looking for? Rusticness about it. So just down there, I think I'm just going to sort of put something growing there. So I want it to look busy. I want that busy, and all the edges need to be busy and bumpy. So there could be, right, it has to be a certain distance from the mill, but there could be a tree just over that way a bit. Obviously, it doesn't want to get swiped by the, whatever they call them. So I'm going to move those trees back a bit. And the way I'll do that is just literally to put a line over that, like so. So by raising that field, it pushes the trees away to a safe spot. Let's just break those up. Just add some general mess. A little bit of light there too. Right, that's slightly uncomfortable, so I just put something there. Let's break it up a bit. Let's go up to there. But let's not get carried away, Stuart. Calm down. Right. Okay, back to the mill. Now then, there might be a bit of a reflection from that in the water. So the way I would probably do that, it's not going to be a massive one, but you can get away with just darkening the water a bit. Can you see that? Oh yeah, but not very well. So what I would do is take into account the width of the mill. So it's going to be sort of there. And the same there. So just a sort of darkened bit in the water, something like that, just to give a whoops, that's dreadful. Right, let's go back a bit. I think I'm suffering from having to, you see, I've programmed myself now to keep out of the way. And one of the things about keeping over to the left is things all start to fall over down to the right. So I'm just going to get in the way quickly and look at it. Sorry about this. Yeah, it should be there. Right, that needs to be in that position. Something like that anyway, just a sort of hint of shadow below it. And then once I've got it on there, I'll sort of tone it down. And yeah, let's have the same effect here too. So I'll just do that. And then maybe darken everything just to the sides a bit, like so. And then what I want to do is bring the line of the water to the fore. So I'll just sort of do this. sort of works quite well. And in fact, I'm going to just sort of put a few streaks, just hints of bits of light. So a slightly stronger one just there. And a few across here. And then a bit of this. Now then. Right, so the structure of the thing that is holding the mill up, I need to clarify that a little bit. In fact, let's see. Again, the bottom edge doesn't matter because I can always rebuild that. What I want is the sort of slightly mechanical part to disappear behind the foliage there. So I'll just keep on going into the grass. That's probably enough. And then put it back. And it's literally just, you know, just scumble it a bit, like so. Okay, that's a bit of an improvement. Right, so this structure that's going to be on the back end, I'm going to sort of invent it roughly from looking at the picture that I sent you with the water in it. So let's see what we'll do here. We've got a little thingy sticking out there. I mean, there's no reason why there couldn't be a, what else could there be? Let's see, what I'm looking at there. It's got a hoist at the back. So maybe we'll have a hoist that comes up there. Okay, that's got a bit of rope hanging off it. And sort of, how would they turn it? They would probably, it works, you know, if you have something long to move, it's, you know, the power of leverage, I suppose. If you have something short, that's not going to work. So I guess I'll go for the thing where it sticks right over. It comes across there like that, out of the ground. Okay, so there's something sticking out there. Something here. How shall I go? It's a useful bit of wood there. And in fact, looking at that painting, there were two. So there's something sticking out, and then two bits of wood. I think the more fiddly bits I add, the more realistic it might look. And in fact, looks to me as though there's another thing that could have gone across there. Does that even show up? No, not at the moment. So what I'll do it. Right, this is one of these things you want to do first go. So it's just got a bit of light catching it there, and it comes down here. Now it can disappear and then reappear there. Let's have a little bit more light catching the water down there. We've got the camera in the right place. Nope. So I just added that light bit there. Yeah, that little device on the back end of the windmill, if you look at the coloured picture that I sent you, it's like a little flagpole sticking up. And in fact, it looks like it's got a little flag on it. So why not? Why not? Well, it's definitely got flatness on the landscape. I need to bring these trees closer to us. At the moment, they're too close to the actual horizon, if you know what I mean. I know it's a flat country and all that, but I think the bases of these trees should actually come down just a bit more. On the horizon, too far away. So I'm just going to bring them closer to us, and to do that, all you do is make the bottom slightly more solid, but then add a bit of light. But where you add that bit of light is a bit crucial. It means that the bit of light next to the trees has to be actually on the horizon so that the dark base comes closer to us. You don't, when you're doing things like this, you don't want all that stuff dangling, okay? So take that off. So you just got a really short piece of paper, and then it won't accidentally touch the painting. So just right in there, I need to add a bit of light hitting the ground behind the trees. In fact, I think I just need to make it slightly deeper. And in fact, I'm going to add a little bit the other side to make sure you can see that too. I'm just going to put a tiny little bit through there. Oh, you know what I haven't done? Silly me. Right, okay, spot the deliberate mistake. I'm sure someone spotted it. And I'm sure someone has probably said, is he going to put it in? Is he, will he? Has he, does he? No? Okay. Yeah, so that's got to go somewhere. Even though we might not see the other one, my gut feeling says we wouldn't. If we did, it would be literally an inch. But this one coming down here is definitely going to show down there. So until I finish the painting, that's going to be almost it for the day, I think. So am I comfortable stopping there? Well, clearly I wasn't happy. So I'm going to make myself happier. I'm going to just sort of attack the well, not attack, you know what I mean. I'm going to work on the windmill a little bit more because I can't live with the fact that it's so wonky. Excuse the noise, I'm just chucking things away. There we go, didn't want you. Right, so I'm just using Payne's Grey and red ochre, and all I'm going to do is just sort of, well, stop the, I think I might have kicked the camera there. If I did, I apologise. I want the, I've got the camera looking literally over my shoulder, so that means I can get in front of it and actually see where it's going wrong. Now, just to remind you, this painting was done on the 28th of September, and today is the 6th of October. So it's been sitting around for a while, and so I'm just going to get back to it. I just want to sort of stop it looking unbelievably badly drawn, and I can see exactly where I went wrong now. I've got my perspective totally squiffy, and in fact that dark shape should be up higher there. That will help. That should be higher there. Now you may not see much at the moment, but when I've finished fiddling with it, hopefully you'll know where I'm coming from, as they say. So there we go. All I'm doing is squaring. And the other thing I'm struggling to do, because I have this urge to paint detail on the windmill, but I'm not going to. I'm going to fight it. It's one of those, I suppose it's a leftover from being a graphic designer. Because we tend to be slightly more into detail. I think that's slightly better. I'm not, the thing is, I'll just put this up on the screen briefly here. This is the reference that I was handing out to my students, and what this is loosely based on. And I'm trying to get a sketchy feel. The rest of the landscape's quite sketchy. You know, my usual slightly loose style. And I wanted the mill to sort of reflect that. I think that's going to be a better angle there. So now we see we're looking up underneath this sort of roof line, and we should be looking underneath there too, because if you imagine us standing on the other side of the stream, which is below the windmill, we would be looking up. These things weren't necessarily tiny, they were quite big things. So I want to give a feeling of height. So I'm just going to sort of smudge it around there and just sort of to make it dark, so that any detail is sort of subdued. The other thing I think I might have, I can't, you know, it's so long ago since I made this video, I'm having trouble remembering what I said earlier on, but the white paint, this is, I thought titanium white. It turns out it isn't titanium white. It's zinc white. I bought a wrong tube, and so I've got some new paint now, so it should be okay. And next time I go shopping, I won't just sort of dash into the shop, grab what looks like a tube of titanium white and dash out. Again, I will take my time, make sure I got the right one. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure I mentioned, you know, isn't it awful? You reach a certain age and you wonder all kinds of stuff. Did I do this? Did I do that? Why did I walk into this room? You know, that sort of stuff. Yeah, zinc, I should have realised, you know. The reason the paint isn't drying is because it's zinc. Zinc takes ages. Oh well, you live and learn, don't you? Now, the sails of the mill, they have a sort of red fabric, a lot of them anyway, not all of them, sure, some had white, which became dingy after a time, but the the painting this is based on, as you could see when I flashed it on the screen, has got sort of a red colour. And I have noticed that in a lot of Dutch paintings, the sails of barges were often this red colour. And I think it's just something they did, you know, maybe that's maybe they were into red sails, who knows. Anyway, I want to sort of add things to the mill, like there's a little thing hanging down there, there's something on the original like that. Over here, let's see, what should we do there? Let's just put a few extra things. Let's have another thing there. Why not? You know, they were very, very thrown together. Let's put it that way. Anyway, the red fabric. Now, the paint that I put on there, apart from the white, is basically dry. So I'm quite happy to obliterate most of what you can see there with the structure of the sails. So I'm going to find another square-ended brush and just get some red ochre and white. Now, I've had so many people asking me about mixing colours and showing how I mix them that I'm going to have to do something about it. So I will do my best to organise a palette camera, but don't hold your breath, as they say. Right, now this fabric, okay, the way the artist did it, he literally just put on almost like a wash, like so. Now, that and that, they go together. This one here, you're not going to see it. I've figured out the angles. It's just not going to show from this point, so I'm not going to fret about that. There we go. Nice and sort of, you know, I like things to look slightly worn. Although there are times when I look in the mirror and I think, I wish I wasn't quite so worn. But there you go. All part of getting older, isn't it? Okay, now there, this sail or vein, or still don't know what they're called. I suppose I could look it up. Maybe I'll do that later. So I just want to get a brush to take a bit of white paint, because I want to remove a bit of sky. Now, obviously, the best way to take away a bit of sky, like down this edge here, is to just go for it. Just match the sky colour. So I'm gonna exaggerate a little bit of light in the sky there. And then turn it into a bit of a cloud so that it disappears behind there and appears in that little gap there. I won't be painting another windmill for a while, or will I? Well, I might give myself a bit of a break. But if I do, well, I'm sure I will, but when I do, it'll be a different type of windmill. I'll go for stone next time, I think. Okay, so here, small brush, but you can still use the sort of crazy brush movements to get a nice random looking sky. I won't be doing much blurring with that other than this, just with my hand, just to sort of take the edge off it a bit. And before I finish, which won't be long now, this painting I will probably give away. So if you're a patron and I ask for your address, you'll know it's you. And it does happen. Okay, now I've taken that off. I want to put a little bit back on there now. My goodness, it's a long time since I did anything like this. Can't believe. I've been doing, well, the last 170 or paintings that I've done have not been in a sort of tight style. They're all ridiculously loose. Or should I say deliciously loose. Now this bit here, you see, there would be a little bit poking off the end there, and sometimes a bit poking that way as well. So I'm going to put them in and then put some of these back. Just with a little touch of contrast in a few places, like so. And the same on here. Now I've got a little bit of wet paint there. I should have planned ahead and done this, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to use my little fingernail there just to touch the board so that I don't disturb the paint too much. Yeah, so if you want to be a patron, don't let me stop you. It's not expensive, just as they say. I think the thing is, you know, even the cost of a cup of coffee is more than welcome. You don't have to be a big patron. Okay, now quick look at that through the viewfinder. That's a vast improvement. Okay, now I just want to get a little bit of light. I've got to make a little decision here. We've got strong light there. That makes that look dark. So I think I will just exaggerate the light hitting the back of this, because some light is hitting that cloud. So the light is coming from over this side somewhere. So there's no reason why this edge, this side, shouldn't have a bit of light bouncing off it. So I'll do that. So I'm just going to sort of put a bit of sort of neutral grey, really, and let's just say it's not going to catch the light all over the whole thing. It's going to catch it in a few places, like it'll probably catch it here. And there. And then sort of push it around a bit. Does that give it enough structure? And also, do I want a little window at the back there? And I'm going to just alter it yet again. All I'm after, really, is just, as I always say, more of a feeling of something rather than the actual something. And I think maybe I'm almost there. Although, you know, when I look at the original painting, it does look as though there is a window. But it's on this, I think it's on the side, so I'm just gonna sort of hint at something. Anything else I need to do before I stop? I'm reasonably happy with the sails, although, again, looking at the original, there are several tones of that colour that I've added. So I think, just as a final touch, I'll just add a few slightly lighter bits, which is red ochre and white. which gives you an interesting pink, rather than just in-your-face pink. So some of these bits of fabric will have light coming through them more than others. Like so, just the odd touch every now and then. I'll get rid of my knuckle marks in a minute. Knuckle marks aren't really a problem. So just the odd, you know, I like things to look worn. I'll tell you, an artist who was really good at that. People think of, I think, a lot of people think, people like Canaletto, who painted sorry, Canaletto, who painted a lot of the canals in Venice. He also did the odd painting where it was like the back streets, you know, just a view from his studio window. I think there's one particular one which is quite interesting. And he would do everything, you know, if there was a bit of the wall collapsing, he'd paint that in detail. So it really did look as though it was crumbling, you know. It's just, he's just really good at it. And what should we do there? Let's turn that into something more, slightly more, I don't know what, but slightly more of it. Just tone them down just a touch. Canaletto, not someone that I would particularly want to try to emulate. I never had to copy a Canaletto, thank goodness, when I was younger. It was always the Dutch artists, which was more than fine with me. Okay, right, so just a few more little twiddly bits of wood. And I think we may be almost there. Another quick look through the viewfinder. Yeah, I think that could be it. Now I'm going to zoom back just to look at the whole thing and see if there's anything I need to do before I say goodbye. A lot of the water in the foreground is just board, just gesso showing through. I'm not going to worry about it. Right, so I think that's as far as I'm probably going to go on this. The only thing that I might tweak on it a bit later on, I don't know, late sometime, is the shadow of the mill. I mean, I can get away with this here, that point relating to that point. But here, there's something not right there. It's a bit off. I mean, I could probably fix it quite quickly just with a bit of white. So rather than just talk about it, let's do it. Just a little bit of white. Let's hope it's the right white. Just look at that point there, down here, and then just sort of just push a few little bits of water across there. Just a few blocks, that's all we want, a few wiggles, a couple of squiggles in it. Probably do it. I think it just needed to be shifted slightly to the left. Could probably go a little bit more. You see, now I'm back looking at the painting from a funny angle again. But let's try it this way. Let's put a line there. Oh yeah, there we go. That's got to come right across there. There we are. The simple way to paint water, just put a few lines in it like so. And a few wiggles. Lines and wiggles. That's life. There, just a bit of final fiddling. And I think I'm happy enough with that. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it, I hope you've learned something, and maybe I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.